Hey, darling, and welcome back to another episode of the Energetics of Happy Relationships podcast. I'm Juliana Joy, your host, and today my co-host is Julia Ermert. She is a therapist based in Germany, and we're going to be unpacking all the nitty-gritty of why men pull away, why they break up with you, and what's needed in order to reconnect, even from a no contact. And what's even better, we're not just two experts talking about emotional triggers in relationships and what's happening with the emotional core, but we're actually debriefing Julia's personal story of a breakup and reconnection with a very high level of awareness. She's going to be sharing her experience in being in a relationship, going through a breakup, and what actually shifted in her just before he came back. So it's going to be a mix of a personal journey, coaching elements, and breaking things down as we go. And because we're both based in Germany in a very typical German way, we're completely skipping the small talk and introduction, and we're diving straight into that. So this is a very honest, very direct, very vulnerable conversation. Stay with us and enjoy the next minutes. I'm so excited to have you here because actually of multiple reasons. One of them, you're a therapist. And the other thing is you had this insane journey inside the Bring Him Closer experience. And because the most often asked question, is the man going to come back? When? Is it tomorrow? Can I ask like a hot question to start with? There's no judgment here. How come somebody with so much understanding and knowledge had an issue when your man pulled back?
It's not about the knowledge. It's about what's going on in your body. It's about what still lingers there. It's about old experiences, actually. And that's what needs to be released. And I knew at that point there's something going on, but I didn't know how to actually change that. I had ideas because I'm familiar with this kind of work, and I'm using it with my clients, but you have to be willing to meet yourself there. And that's the difference. So it's good to know things. It's good to read about stuff, to understand things, and maybe to analyze. But the most important part, I think now, and that what I would advise is to go the other way and to go deeper and to really meet yourself in your pain or in your feelings, whatever's coming up, without judgment and without wanting it to change. These two are very important. I got that from you.
You're somebody who is guiding clients through fears, clients through what's happening in their body. And you had a relationship and you just said, knowing is great, cool, but I was not able to manage that. And for me, I think there's a huge difference between having a toolbox and knowing how to do it for somebody else and then manage yourself. Whole difference. But can you describe for me, how did you know something is not okay?
Because I was not feeling aligned, or I wasn't feeling really happy. I wasn't feeling like myself, really. I was not stuck, but just like I couldn't express myself. I thought there were so many things unsaid I couldn't express, and I just felt like I need to hold it together. I'm doing the work. It's really exhausting in a way because I'm giving my best. I'm trying so hard and it's not really working out the way I wanted, and feeling anxious along the way.
So you had a boyfriend. So you were seeing each other, right? You were just seeing each other. And something started happening where you're like, oh, I noticed I'm feeling anxious. Or what was going on? If we compare what was actually happening, you don't have to go into much into detail, of course, but what was actually happening in the dynamic that you were observing and what was happening inside you emotionally?
He would do something, not in a bad way, not like in a mean way. He would just, for example, at the beginning, we started really quickly. Everything was very exciting. And I felt, oh, wow, my God, this is like an amazing man. And he was just doing all the nice things and everything was fine. So I knew he is a decent person. For example, like one day he changed his picture on WhatsApp, and he had for a few minutes, he had no picture in his profile. And I was like, did he ghost me? That was after like, I don't know, 5-6 weeks at the beginning, very early. I was freaking out. What's happening here? And I was like freaking out in my body. And I was like, oh my God, this is not a normal reaction to what's happening because I don't know. And he of course didn't ghost me, but I just felt, oh my God. So I knew at the very beginning, I knew before I started this relationship that I have things going on because it was always difficult for me. It's not the first man that I had problems with, but everything felt so good and he felt so right. And then still I was triggered totally.
Thank you for naming it. So what I hear is like 5-6 weeks in, he was whatever changing his profile, and for 5 minutes there was no picture. And the first thing that came to my mind is he ghosted.
Yes.
And that's something with you, because even now you're telling the story and I can see the flush of emotion. Even if you remember and recall how it was, and I can imagine how intense it was then. Back in the days, if you remember that situation, what would that mean to you that he would ghost you after 6 weeks?
Of course, I'm not good enough. I did something wrong. All that stories, all that came up.
How did you handle that back then? Do you remember?
I looked at that because I was already familiar with, I knew that this is like an old story. I knew this is a younger me that is hurt and I have to go and look at her. So I did. I was like, again, is this coming up again? I thought I healed this already. Why is it still coming up? Worked with her. And then everything, it got better. But there was still stuff coming up all of the time. And I was like, I don't want that. How can I still not feel good enough? And so what I did was like trying to, everything's fine, everything's okay. I see that now, that there's not much triggers coming up because it felt really uncomfortable. And I couldn't at that point talk with him about it because it did not feel like we had that connection. And then what started then was like he was pulling away and we did not see each other for longer periods of time. He had so much work to do. And then there was no way to deal with this with him because I wouldn't really deal with me at that point.
When you were talking, I could imagine you getting tense because on the one side, you have that conversation in your mind like, hey, I have done so much work. Like, why again, I'm still in the stage where I am, like why it's repeating. But then there was the other thing of I was not able to talk to him on that deeper level. So I had to solve it on my own. So whatever was going on in my mind, I was alone with that. And I can imagine what was happening for you. You was very tense. And I think he was reacting to the tension primarily. I can imagine. Was that the case?
It was just on the surface. I didn't say to him, like, I'm tensed. I would not say that. If he would ask me, I would say, yeah, I'm fine. Thank you. Let's be fair. Like, we both have an equal share in this. I wouldn't say he's a bad person or whatever. It's totally not the case.
Oh, no, this is so like normal. Can you remember? Take us back to the moment where you received the breakup text.
I was in my kitchen and yes, and it was a text. He didn't call me and he didn't say, let's have a chat about it. You just texted. And actually I was like, a part of me was like, oh, a little relieved because the tension was exploded in a way. On the other hand, it felt like a challenge. I don't know the English word right now, like a thing that I have to go through now. Really, universe, like, why do I have to do this now? Because that was in a time of my life where I felt like tensed every day because of other things. And that was like on top of it. And I was like, oh, why do I have to do this now? Why is this now coming up? So the sadness and the grieving and everything, that came later, that came days later when I was talking with my friends and they were like, oh, why did you just text? First, I felt this is something I have to look at. And that felt overwhelming in a way.
Let me know if I'm hearing it. You were sitting in the kitchen and you look at your phone and it's something in the sense of, sorry, it's not working out between us. Thank you, bye-bye.
No, he said something like, I don't remember all of it, but he said, I've been thinking about it and we're not in the same town. We have a distance. It's not long distance, but it's like a distance relationship and working all of the time. That's what he said. I'm so busy. And right now I don't see that we both want a family and I don't see how this is going to work out right now. So that was the text. And then I was like, okay, I wasn't like saying, why are you doing this? I really was just like, okay, if you made this decision in this moment, this is right for you. I didn't try to talk him out of this because I did that earlier, like in my earlier experiences. And I was at a point where I was like, this is not working. I'm not doing this. I'm not going this way. I just accepted that he broke up. I'm going to deal with this later. But in this moment, I was just like, okay, I accept this right now. And then let's see. To be honest, I wasn't really thinking that he really means to break up. I don't know if that makes sense.
You know what's interesting? So I was asking you so that we can see what this activated in you in the moment. And what I hear very clearly is, I'm going to deal with it later, which is pretty much, it's like your nervous system was, I'm not going to even go down the path of understanding what that means. I'll do it later, not now. So it's almost like this kind of survival protection of our nervous system of emotion. They have no capacity to understand what actually he means. So I'm taking the information, like, why now? Like, how come you're breaking with me when I'm so busy and when I have so many other things happening? One more thing on my plate. And that's so interesting because literally one of the things I teach is actually to feel your feelings. And what your nervous system did is shut you down.
And yeah, it's protection. It's okay. I don't judge myself for this, but it's what happened.
Oh my God. And then days later, you announce this to your friends. And this is where your nervous system is, let me exhale. And oh my goodness, he rejected me. What's exciting me now in this, just analyzing this, is how the I'm strong trigger was running the show for you when you were so busy with different things in your life, to a point where your boyfriend is saying it's not working out. And instead of literally surrendering to the messiness, we keep being strong. We keep just going through life with I'm strong and I just got it. And this is, by the way, it's also me, same story. And then we complain why men are not taking care of me. But quick story, both my kids, after I delivered them, it was a huge trigger in my life. So I went back into my go-to survival mechanism, which is I'm strong. And then I'm like, why is he not helping as much as I would like to? Because with C-section running up and down the stairs 1 week later and crazy stuff. That's really interesting to see how that kicks in when we're under stress. Because it is a stress, right?
And it's important to state because we realize that with others. I would realize that with other persons in my life, but you don't really realize that with yourself at that moment. I'm listening to your words, and that's exactly what happened. When that happened, I couldn't name that for myself.
The other interesting thing I hear is because we usually, when I do like masterclasses, we have a very fun exercise, which is what is the version of I'm not sure or I'm not ready you received? And you received the version of you working too much. Was that kind of the real reason
No, not me. He was working. Yeah.
So
yeah.
I'm too busy. Basically, he said, I'm way too busy. It doesn't work. I'm curious if he's still too busy. This is somewhere around about the time where actually you joined the Bring Him Closer experience, didn't you?
I came across your work maybe in May or June, like on Instagram. So I was, interesting. And I was following dating stuff because I knew this is not really working the way I wanted. So there was already this awareness. And then when he broke up, that was in July last year, I was like, and now I need to work this out because whatever happens, this is going to come across with other men as well. And I don't want that. I want to really change this. And I started with, I don't know the name of this mini course. At early in the mornings, I was like, I need to change this now. And then I started, I'm doing this now. And I was like, oh my God. And then I started the program I think in August or September.
August. By the way, this is also so interesting. Like you have a problem. So in the dynamics, you're tense and nervous. Then he says he's too busy. And then you're like, oh, another thing to deal with. Then you go into grief later then. And then you go back into I'm strong of I have a problem, I need to fix it.
Yes, exactly.
Which is, by the way, that's a great thing. I have a problem, I need to fix it.
It's both. It's actually a good energy because it got me where I am right now. And I can rely on that fact that whenever something's going on, I can get help or I can get into this.
I've noticed, and most women I see, they have this inner urge of I'm strong, I'm responsible, I need to get things done. And this gets you very far in life. Like you finish university, you get a profession, you work, you make a career. Like this inner urge gets you very far. Mm-hmm. So it is a fuel, even though for most women, it starts actually with emotional unsafety in the childhood, but it's actually your fuel for life. And the only thing is where I believe we just need to start tweaking is when is it serving me? And when it's not serving me. Sometimes for work, like, oh my God, this is such a great, literally fuel to make things happen.
And that was the energy I was going into the program with, ticking the boxes. Like, I need to do this, and then this is going to happen. And I learned very quickly that's not the way, that I have time and everything's going to turn out very different from what I think it needs to turn out.
Remember, there was a moment like a few months in, you shared a reflection, you were saying something along the line of, I was doing module 5 on repeat for, 2 weeks. And there was this like moment of surrender where I was just like, maybe he will never come back. And then, do you remember? And then you said I had this like exhale. And then a week later he texted. Because before that moment, there was some event and you wanted to text for that event. And we were drafting the text, like how to reach out and what to say and how to do that. And then I think you sent it and it didn't go very well, if I remember well.
It was his birthday, actually. He responded not in a way that I thought was appropriate. Not in terms of there's something happening, but he responded.
What do you think this happened this way? Because so many women want to know how to reach out, how to break no contact, like when. on. And basically what you did is you broke the no contact after a few months.
This no contact thing, you can see it from two sides, because I just saw it like, it's like practicing. If I feel the urge to do it, then maybe I can do it and then see what's coming out of it. I wasn't like stressing at the beginning when I joined the program. I wasn't stressing myself about, I should never contact him. I had this opportunity that I could when I want, but I didn't, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That took a lot of pressure out of me, because you never need to have contact. It didn't felt like that's okay with me. That's who I am, or that's what I want, or it just didn't feel right for me. So I had this option, because I was supported in the program and from my coach. I felt like if I want to do it, then I have support in whatever is coming out of this. So I felt safe to explore that. But what I realized is at that point, yes, I went no contact, because what I was doing was I was stopping the things I was doing out of not being good enough, because that was like one of the major realizations. There's a training in your program about why you're doing things, or it's about stopping the things you're doing. And there was a sentence you said, like, why is it hard to stop certain things? That's the most interesting part. And that got me. I was doing all of these things, all of this, working for this relationship, getting his attention and so on, just because I did not felt good enough for him, for everything. And that did not only show up in my relationship with him, but in other work life, and all the stuff came up. And then I was like, oh, if I'm good enough, then I don't have to do all of the things. That was the thing. And then I could stop, and then I could go no contact, because like I didn't need to do that, because I didn't need him to prove that I'm good enough. And that's when I decided. I wrote him a letter and I burned it, and I made a little ritual. I was like thanking him, not in real conversation, in my imagination. I thanked him for actually being the person that made it possible for me to learn and to see that and to go this way again and to in deeper layers. And actually that was interesting, because the other men I had problems with were also showing up, and I was like, thank you. That was the surrender, because I don't need to do this anymore. After that, truly didn't expect him to text me again. I was thinking, that's it. And I'm going to survive this. It's okay. It's fine. I'm all right. And then after that, he came up and said, hi, I'm still here.
I want to know everything for after he said hi, but what you just said, it was so powerful, because the whole idea of having to do no contact, the way I hear you explain it was like limiting to you somehow. And you prefer the idea of I can or I cannot, depending on whatever I decide.
It's this advice you get like in the world, don't do this. And it did not feel right for me. And in the program, we just learn, and we can learn that there's no right or wrong kind of thing. You can always use this for exploration, for information, and it's not wrong for doing things. Or once, because I was with my coach, John, I practiced to actually how I would have a conversation with him, or how I would text him and how that feels. And then, so what? If I text him or if I do something and then he reacts not in a way that feels good, what's going to happen? You can always repair. It's not the always I'm wired, like all or nothing kind of thing. If this is not going well, then the world is ending. This is what my nervous system is like this. Oh, this is not going to happen. And that's the pressure. And I just learned, and I'm still learning every day and continuing to do this. No, it's not just this or that. There might be another option, and you just don't see it right now because you're like in this stress and in this anxiety.
For me, basically what you describe is you understand that there is like a third path and there is another option. So it's not just do or die or have him or die. It's not like this. And the other thing that you described, which is intensive, you did a very serious energy release and purging. And when I talk about energy and how they feel the energy and so on, this is such a great example because you did it not only in your mind, but in your whole being, body. You were like, hey, if it doesn't work, then fine, I'll be fine. And then a week later, he was in your DM.
This thing with releasing, because sometimes you're like, I want to release this, and then it's not going to happen. I want to surrender. Yeah, I want to surrender, but it's not working. How do I do it? And it's not with this intention, I want to surrender, but it's like doing all the other things. And then it comes as a result because it's not necessary anymore that you do this, release the energy.
What I'm observing, a lot of women, they're like, I want to surrender. I want to be feminine. I want to do the no contact. So they do it with such a strong anxiety, and it comes from a sense of unsafe, from I just don't feel safe. So give me all the recipe of all the spiritual, practical, psychological things I can do so that I get the result. I'm now speaking general, I'm not referring to you. The point is, what you actually did is you were able to literally sit in your discomfort, number one. And number two, gratitude is such a high frequency energy because you not just did a purging letter, you did a gratitude letter. And this is massive. Now give us the tea. So you look in your phone, and what are you seeing on your phone? He sent a message.
I was like, oh, interesting. I texted my coach then immediately because you don't guess what happened. It's like a miracle because I really didn't expect it. When I started the program, I was aware that could mean that I don't have any feelings for him because maybe he was just like a projection, or maybe that would fade away and maybe I would see, oh no, he's not the right man for me. That can happen. And it happened to me before. And then I was like, oh, interesting, because there was a part of me that not was hoping really, but was like in a way sure that he's actually a really good man for me. And that was like, oh, cool. I was right in a way.
By the way, this is what I noticed before when you were speaking. What actually also plays a role in this whole multi-dimensional structure of feelings, thoughts, and everything is your intuition. When he sent you the breakup text and you were like, but a part of me actually knew we're good together. A part of me knew he's not really breaking up with me. I think this is what you said. And this is really under all the layers of anxiety, I'm strong, or any other, we have triggers and programs. There is our deep wisdom knowing, the female knowing. And you knew it. He's sending that text, but it's not really a full breakup. You knew it. And then when he basically came back in the picture, you knew it again. He's actually really good for me. We're a good match, or he's a good man overall. And I think it's important to actually listen to that because we either are not even able to hear, or we maybe hear, but we don't really take it serious enough. This kind of inner voice. And that's interesting because I think you knew it the whole process all along.
I was open. It's like, maybe there's another way. Maybe there's another man.
There's always more men. What got me through my challenges was this healthy avoidance of there's always another man. What's happening now? So this happened a few months ago, or are you now talking? What's different than before?
He texted, and what was different then when he started to initiate again, that he was doing this and I wasn't. He was texting, okay. We were not so much texting in between, because he's still busy working. But when he was reaching out, he was reaching out for a date. Are you free then? Stuff like that. So that was a major shift, because when we were still together last year in spring, he would never have the time. And then I just oh, now he makes time, even if it's not every week or daily or whatever. But this is for him and for us, this is huge. So what I was doing then, I was always saying thank you and appreciating he makes the time and that he's coming over, because this is an hour drive and he's already driving a lot and traveling a lot for work. That was changing. I was appreciating and I was reacting with warmth. And this is another big part that has changed, because I was stating how I feel and how I feel when I read his text, how I feel when I see him. And I was not and I'm still not in this thinking, what's going to happen? When is this going to happen? In this moment right now, what's going on? How does it feel? Is it okay? What's coming up for me? And when we met, because he had to cancel once, and that would normally be a huge trigger. Oh, again, he canceled. I'm not important. But I didn't go this way. I was just thank you. It's okay. I'm fine doing something nice for myself. I don't know what I was doing then. It wasn't a drama. I was not making a drama out of it. He does not want to see me. That changed. And then we met and I was just nice and beautiful, and I was oh my god, we feel so good together. And then that was before Christmas, and then Christmas was coming up. My mother is asking, she's is he coming and what's going on and are you together? I just felt a little pressured, and because it's Christmas and I wasn't really sure, should I ask him, do we spend the time together or not? And that was really Christmas and New Year's Eve was a hard time for me, because that was again bringing so much stuff up. I felt so triggered after Christmas because we didn't see each other and he didn't reach out, and that was hard. That was a major kind of setback, and I was, oh my god, why is this happening again? Because it was before that, when we met, he was texting me when he got back and he was thanking me for the nice time, and then he was again, I enjoy so much spending time with you, all this stuff. So I was really into high hopes, and now we spent Christmas together, and that was actually my goal, to not spend Christmas alone. And then I spent Christmas alone because we did not, I went even deeper, because then I was, again, what's coming up for me? There was so much hurt inside of me. And that was when I started again to focus on myself, like on a daily, weekly basis, to what's coming up every day and look at that and what's hurt. There was so much hurt inside of me, not being worthy, not being deserving, all of that. More than not being good enough, there was so much coming up. And then I just spent weeks minding my inner little one that went through this and all the feelings and all this stuff. And then that was in January, 2 days after the New Year's Eve, he was reaching out and he said, when can we see each other? I was sick. How are you? Normal, like nothing happened. And then he made a suggestion, when can we meet? When can we see each other? And I was, thank you. Not like, why didn't you text me on Christmas? I didn't do this. I just said, thank you for reaching out. I really enjoy, I feel really good to get your message. Then he said, at this suggested a date. Normally what he does is that he clarifies like 2 days before, is this still happening? He didn't. And I was wondering like what's going on. And I didn't know like how to communicate. And I was talking with my coach, like, how can I handle this situation? And then I reached out again, but actually our contact was like, he was reaching out. I was just reacting to what he was initiating. But at that point I was like, okay, so I say, I feel irritated. I don't know really what's going on. I thought we were meeting and now this is not going to happen. I said, I appreciate if we could clarify before we meet, and what do you think? And then he was opening up and I felt irritated. Why is he now feeling irritated? He's the one not reaching out. Why? I was, thank you for sharing this with me, because he never did that before, actually. Sometimes it just felt like, what is he thinking? When you see him, he's like always smiling and he's a very positive person. But when he's stressed, he's shutting down and not saying what he actually thinks and better not communicate. For me, that was like, oh, he's saying what he thinks. And okay, he feels irritated too. Why not? That's okay. I just shared that with him and thanked him for saying that. I just felt like we reached another in our relationship. Yeah. And maybe for me, this was important because it did not happen through meeting more often or having dates. It was just like the way we communicated an issue.
Now, can we start with your mom for Christmas? Is he coming? Now, the problem we have is our parents, because they're holding an authority in our life, right? So when they say something, it has a whole different value versus a friend or a random stranger. So even alone her question pointing into your pain of, I actually wanted to spend Christmas together, is already triggering for itself. Like, you don't even need him in the picture to be triggered. Let's start with that. But then the other thing is, I actually had another graduate. She started the same time with you. She's graduating same time with you. And she was having all the way like a normal relationship, no pullback, no breakups, just a regular relationship. But she would get extremely anxious and then she would act on anxiety and she would say something that will cause this guy to text her but never make a date for the next 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks. So he wouldn't completely break up, but he was just going distance. And I remember, because for Christmas, same thing happened with her. She got sick, he got sick. And then I think he didn't text her for a few days around Christmas just to say Happy Christmas. And she was triggered. And she did the exact same thing like you, which is, she didn't snap like usual. Oh, where are you? But she was like, I was sick. Oh, so sorry to hear you were sick. And this literally opened the gate to the next level. And you just said it like, I have the feeling we've reached the next level. And I talk about those make it or break it situations. The thing is, a lot of women do not understand. Getting a guy back or bringing somebody closer, it's the easiest thing. But from there on, like getting a relationship to the next stage is what it takes, deepening the emotional connection. And what you said like now is, we're not seeing each other more than usual, but I feel connected on a different level. And it's actually normal. Women, when somebody is pulling back, they think about the next step, which is get him back. But after that, there are so many other steps. And what actually happened in your case is, because you did not act on your feelings, he felt safe enough to tell you that he was irritated. And because he was able to say it, you were able to understand each other, pretty much help him open up, the whole idea of Module 7. Because the Module 7 help him open up is basically what gets you ready for bringing a relationship to the next stage. Seriously, a relationship is a constant overcoming of triggers, like all day, every day. Just play your own relationship down in the future. You could spend Christmas together and then your mom is going to ask some annoying questions and he's going to get triggered, for example. Or you're going to move in together, you're going to get triggered. He's going to get triggered. And babies, pregnancies, planning a wedding, just really played down the future. And what I'm trying actually to do in the Bring Him Closer experience is to give this skill set to be able to self-regulate, communicate through, and overcome constant triggers. Because it's an illusion, oh, he's going to come back and everything is going to be happy and there will be never a challenge down the line. It's an illusion, actually. The other thing is, I also took a note on what happened for you. So he disappeared around Christmas, pretty much. He got sick. I would trust that he really got sick. But how sick can you be to not send a text message? We can challenge that, right? Unless you both hands are like in tight and you cannot write, maybe, but then you can still make a voice note. So Alexa, please send a message. But the point is, I think he got irritated and that's why he was not reaching out. Not that he was so sick, but yes, you're a professional therapist, but your job is not to be his therapist. So it's his own stuff to get out of that irritation when he's ready. But the interesting thing is this threw you back. So this completely re-triggered the old story in your mind. And you were able, with the tools, with a new knowledge, with a new experience, because at the end of the day, every experience is rewiring your brain. So you experience how he can come back once and you're like, oh, sure. You experience how it feels to know, oh, there's another man out there for me. I'll be fine. And now with that little experience in the back of your mind, your nervous system is dealing with what actually is coming up, which is the actual trigger and the old story. This is how the skill set of dealing with those things on your own is a huge thing. I'm just shifting a little bit in what I really believe in. Getting help is important. You cannot go without getting help, and nobody. But at some point, you need to be able to cover at least 80% of whatever happens in your life on your own. You need the skill set to be able to self-soothe, self-regulate, navigate at least 80%, because otherwise you cannot be running every single day to a coach or a therapist. That's not even a healthy relationship. And you can run to them for the bigger chunks or like a blind spot stuff and so on. The point is there is this sense of, I want to be in control, at least for the daily things that happen. That's what I personally believe in. And what you described was just a perfect way how you were able to navigate that.
That's what actually has deepened through your work in me and in my life, is just not see it, as you say, it's like this or that. Just do it on a daily basis, or just maybe not daily, but normal kind of healthcare. Just dealing with your feelings, sit and then just hold yourself and see what's coming up without judging. That's the first step. And then accepting this, although I maybe don't want to accept this. Oh, it's coming up again. I don't want this. It's always like a deep layer coming up. I was aware of that concept. I just realized it or learned it again and again. It's not bad. It doesn't mean that you have a backlash and where you've been like 10 years before. It's just another layer and you can work with it because it's meant to come up. That's maybe what's changed. Before I was like, I want to be healed. I want to be feeling good all of the time. I want everything should be fine. And this is not how the things are, like how it works. Every day something can come up and that's not a problem. It's okay. It's fine. You don't have to push it down or you don't have to function. Obviously, this is my pattern. I need to function. And when I realize this, oh, I'm again in this, I want to push through. I'm trying to make space. I still, actually, this is one of my areas where I'm like not making space when it happens, but maybe making for the week, maybe this is a priority. Like I have 15 minutes a day and just feeling what's coming up right now. This is actually what I'm working on. Not when it feels, there's something off, but really it's just practicing what's coming up, because I realized doing this regularly, it just takes so much like the edge off and it goes so much quicker and it's supposed to move through and it's okay. You can handle this. It's fine. What makes the pressure and everything is when you are against it, when you say, no, I should be further. I should do this. I should do that. I shouldn't feel this way. All this stuff that's going on. And that's what is helping me, because I still have this, why is this? And then like, no, it's okay. Just be with this. It's fine. That's changed so much in the last 6 months for me. I'm still triggered. There's still things to learn, obviously. But this has changed like massively.
So happy. It has been so amazing, this conversation. But if you could speak to the version of you who received that breakup text half a year ago or a few months ago, what would you tell her now?
Actually, what comes up right now, it's just a little grief, because she thought she has to carry everything on her own. And I was just, I'm here for you now and it's okay. You don't have to carry this. It's fine.
This is exciting. Thanks so much. So this is a wrap. I hope you enjoyed it. And as you heard in the conversation, Julia mentioned that she started with one of our foundational programs, the Bring Him Closer Energetic Framework, before going deeper into this work. So if you're curious about that, you'll find everything in the show notes below. And definitely, if you recognize yourself in this, if you understand your patterns, but in the moment it still takes over, you don't have to figure this out on your own with trial and error. You can book a conversation with my team, with one of my coaches, and we will look at your situation together and see what would actually support you and what will help you in your personal challenges. The link to that is as well in the show notes. And if this episode stayed with you in any way, I'd really love to hear from you on Instagram. You're going to find also our link to Instagram in the show notes. Feel free to come in and say hi and tell me what's your takeaway from today. See you soon. Bye-bye.